Hello. I just realized I don't have sound. I don't know why it's not working. Usually I have an intro video that didn't work. I wonder what's going on, why it didn't work. Everything's not working today. Oh yeah, it's not even uploaded anymore. Well, that's not great. Well, welcome to your daily dose of salt and light with myself, Nadine Ness. I have been having so many technical difficulties, especially with the camera. For some reason, 1/3 the top of the camera was like doing electrical things, so I couldn't even figure it out. Anyways, I ended up rebooting rebooting, and then I had to figure it out. And yes, David, your first notice came up and then was canceled when I was trying to do, I don't know if this one got a notice or not, but when I was trying to do the fix, like the audio and video is great. Some reason I can't hear what's going on, because usually I have an intro video, but let's see if I can hear this video.
Conditionally agreed to a 30-day ceasefire in the Russia-Ukraine war.
Let's see if that is working. Let's see.
That's right. Putin is...
No. If I share a screen, can you guys see it? Here, I'll just share it real quick. Can you guys hear it?
Open to it, thanks to Trump's team working behind the scenes in Moscow and Saudi Arabia.
We agree
here. Can you guys hear
with
this?
the propositions to stop hostilities,
The video
but we
played?
proceed from the fact that such...
I'm just going to quickly see if I can unplugged it when I was trying to fix the camera. Oh, you know what? It might just be in my settings too. Yeah, let's see.
ceasefire.
Let's see. Give me a sec. I'm going to unplug it and plug it back in. Let's see if I can get the speakers to work. That might work better.
Should be such that would lead to a permanent peace.
Yeah, I don't hear that.
And remove
I can't
the
hear
initial
anything,
original
so that's going to be
causes of the crisis.
difficult. I'll take these out because these aren't working anyways. Let's see if I play this.
The deal's not done. Putin has demands including land concessions and Ukraine staying out of NATO, but Trump isn't backing down. It's a promising step, Trump stated, but I want to talk to him directly and wrap things
now
up,
it's
he said,
working.
regarding Vladimir.
It might just be the video. Well, why isn't it playing for me?
Putin, imagine that.
Well, this is frustrating. It's funny. You guys can hear it, but I can't. And I have my speakers, like I can hear other things. Let's see.
Freedom of expression today. Is it the
No, I can't hear that.
Such thing as a side anymore. It's ridiculous because it goes left and right and then extreme left, extreme right.
There you go. Okay, I think I got it. You guys can hear it. It's me that couldn't. Is there an echo when it's playing? Like if I put this on, here, let me see. Let's play this one. Is there an echo? Do you guys hear an echo? Now you guys can't hear. Oh, things are just not going well today. Dear Lord, please help figure this out, this technology. Here, let's just remove it and I'll just add it back up. Stop sharing, present. Let's see if it works now. I know you guys can hear me. It's just I couldn't hear the video, and now you guys can't
We
hear
have a
it.
lot of our favorite players, cruising around the coast, and we have to be careful. And we'll
You
be
guys
talking
hear
to you. It's a very appropriate, really a very appropriate question.
There's an
Thank
issue
you
in the
very
high
much.
north, so the Arctic, so what you did. So when it comes to Greenland, yes or not joining the US, I would leave that outside for me, this discussion, because I don't want to drag NATO in that. But when it comes to the high north and the Arctic, you are totally
Working,
right.
no echo.
The Chinese
Great.
are now
Okay.
using these routes. We know that the Russians are rearming. We know we have a lack of icebreakers. So the fact that the seven, outside Russia, there are 7 Arctic countries working together on this under US leadership is very important to make sure that that region, that part of the world stays safe. And we know things are changing there and we have to be there.
He stated, I think it'll happen, he said.
So from my understanding, this Root guy, so the guy that's sitting with Trump is Root. He is representing the NATO. Am I correct in this? Let's see. I'm just going to minimize this. So this is a reporting by a news organization that I was playing for you guys. It didn't, I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's like 9 minutes long, but they cover a lot of stuff that's really good. I'll play some more of it, but I just kind of wanted to tell you guys a little bit who they were. We'll play some of it. If it's really good, we'll keep playing it. I might make it go a little bit faster.
Why? Because Greenland is a strategic gold mine, a natural resources, key military positioning, and Trump's not about to let.
Whoops.
Denmark's throwing a fit, but Trump isn't concerned. They're far away, he shrugged. They cue the media meltdown. The same people who laughed when he floated this idea in 2019 are now scrambling, realizing he's actually making moves. Meanwhile, Trump met with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte today at the White House. And let's be real, the media is trying to spin it like NATO's running the show. But the truth? Trump's got Rutte exactly where he wants him.
We're going to be discussing a lot of things. Obviously, we'll be discussing what's happening with respect to Ukraine and Russia. At this moment, we have people talking in Russia. We have representatives over there, Steve Witkoff and others. And they're in very serious discussions. As you know, Ukraine has agreed, subject to this, what's happening today, to a complete ceasefire, and we hope Russia will do the same. Thousands of people are being killed, young people, usually, mostly young people. We were just talking about it. Thousands of young people are being killed a week, and we want to see that stop. And they're not Americans, and they're not from the Netherlands for the most part. No. They're from Russia, and they're from Ukraine, but they're people. And I think everybody feels the same way. We want it to stop. It's also a tremendous cost to the United States and to other countries. And it's something that would have never happened if I were president. And it makes me very angry to see that it did happen. But it happened, and we have to stop it. And Mark has done some really good work over the last week. We've been working together, and he's done some really good work. So I'm very happy about that. We'll also be talking about trade and various other things. And I think we'll have a very strong day.
They talked Ukraine, sure, but also NATO paying its fair share, something Trump has hammered for years and before he ran for president. Rutte even admitted Trump's leadership is forcing allies to boost their defense spending, and that's a win, folks. The left will never admit it, but Trump is making NATO stronger, not weaker. And speaking of strength, let's talk about trade. Trump just put Europe on notice, threatening a 200% tariff on European wines and champagne.
I won't cover everything, but it was mostly the Greenland thing I wanted to cover. But I have a post too that's really interesting. I'm not saying I agree everything with this post, but actually what I'll do, I'll let you guys know what just happened in Greenland, why this is being talked about again, what this means for the US, what this means potentially for Canada. In order for me to do that, I'll first share the topic, and for some reason it's not there. Oh no. Okay, let me see if I can fix it. Screen 2. What is going on? Why is nothing working today? I'll have to add it. Display capture. That one? Yeah. Okay. Just give me a second. Paste filters. There you go. No, where did it go? Oh no, I might have to let you guys go because I can't even share the content right now. You know what? It's to be honest, like I think it's spiritual. I know that might sound like strange, but I honestly think it's spiritual. It's been like that for the last like 3 days. So if you guys are praying people, can you please pray for me? It's it's been unreal the last little while how many attacks and who are part of the attacks too. That's the part that's been like really shocking. Here, let's just remove this. I'm going to remove this and see if I can. Usually it's pretty. Let's see if I can get this working. Yeah, there you go. We're just going to add the filters like I usually do. You guys get to see all the work that goes behind preparing everything, but for some reason, filters, here it is. I don't understand why it's doing this though. That's the part that's kind of insane. Like this has worked now for the last few months. Let's see. I think it's 150. Let's see. We're going to fix it. We're going to get it figured out. 300. Whoops. We're getting there. I don't remember what the data was before. Okay, that'll be okay. There, I can work around this. Yeah, even yesterday, like online, like people who I thought were friends, like were coming and attacking me in the comments, which I find really strange, and their attacks didn't even make sense. But I want to say that this always happens when something big is about to happen. So like there you go. I think I got it somewhat fixed. Yeah. Yeah, so this would always happen right when there's like breakthrough around about to happen. There you go. We got that fixed. Okay. The prayers worked. Okay, let's get going on this. So I'm going to say hi to a few people. Jonathan Grand. I don't know how you say it. And Nicole's, hi. Where are you guys watching from? Linda, Tom is watching from Facebook. Blanche is watching from Facebook. Mark's better not. Mark's better not maybe join us to the EU. I think that's what you're trying to say. Mark Carney is meeting with the EU on Monday. I'm worried. What about our crisis? And David is watching as well. Okay, let's get going on this. I'm so sorry about all the tech stuff. Okay, so I don't know who this Rod guy is, but I looked through the thread and it seemed to give a lot of information as to what's going on in Greenland. Sometimes, like when we see stuff like that, I love to try to get informed as to what's happening. So I really wanted to have a deep dive and I wanted to share that with you guys. So here's what you need to know. So the Democratic Party, it sounds like Democratic, but just shocked everyone with a massive victory, jumping from 9% to 30% of the vote. They're replacing the anti-American leftists who kept saying Greenland's not for sale. So there's a new party, and I know it sounds like it's a left-leaning party because it almost sounds like the Democrats, but apparently it's the right-leaning party, and it's also the Separatist Party. So they're the party who wanted to join the U.S. And then let's be clear, this is a huge shift. While the old guard was busy shouting no at everything American, the new leadership is talking about business and pragmatic cooperation. Trump's been crystal clear. We need Greenland for national security. He's offering billions in investment to an island with only 50,000 people, but that's bigger than the Louisiana purchase. That means job opportunities and prosperity Denmark was not delivering, or Denmark has not delivered. Important context: 4 out of 5 major parties want independence from Denmark. The debate isn't if, it's when. 4 out of 5. So they have several different parties there then. The debate isn't if, it's when. Now a pro-business party is in the driver's seat, but Trump's plan likely includes independence, same as our deals with Micronesia, the Marshall Islands, in Palau. Trump's plan could mean massive financial aid and U.S. investment, U.S. passports and social services for Greenlanders, defense protection, employment for Greenland's impoverished youth. The truth, this isn't about buying Greenland, it's about strategic partnership and mutual benefit. And with anti-American leftists out of power, everything is now on the table. He makes a really good point here, and I just want to touch on this. What if the same thing is what he's doing with Canada? Not necessarily take it over or buy it, or what if it's pushing for strategic partnerships with Canada, maybe where there's almost like an invisible border, almost like there's no trade tariffs whatsoever on either side. Like what if the army protects both or shares together both? Like what if that's more what Trump is doing with Canada? It's just a thought. The media. I actually really like that term. I've never heard it before. The media touts a poll done by Denmark, Greenland's colonial overlord, claiming 85% of Greenlanders oppose the U.S., but that's propaganda, as the election just showed. A different poll found almost the opposite. 57% support a deal with the U.S., and the younger you are, the more you support it. I did a whole video on it. You should watch it, he says. Remember, Trump already picked my friend Ken Howery as ambassador to Denmark. Ken called Greenland an absolute necessity. Now the pieces are falling into place. So it kind of gives a little bit of context as to what's happening. Now, there was another post, but I'll play this video first. I'm just going to get it
really
ready.
important.
We can watch this video. The video is not super big, so I'm sorry. I wasn't able to find a bigger one, but it's mostly what they're saying.
It's a really important military base, especially for all of us in the North American continent, and especially for your national security. And your national security is our security. And we know that all those things who is happening in the world, we need to be more clear with the defense in the Arctic area. So we are open to discuss about how to defend our country, your country, all the Arctic, all the North American countries, and all the Western alliances.
You also have vast rare earth minerals in Greenland. There's a long list of minerals and items that you, in raw materials, have inside Greenland. Are there Chinese firms existing and operating in Greenland?
Not right now. I think there have been one company who still have a license, but who we denied to have the exploitation license for 2 years ago, who have some of the ownership from China. But the last years, the Greenlandic government have do that we are trying to boost to our close friends, especially US and EU, to have more strong partnership with the mining industry, because we need these investments to diversify our economy, so we can have the growth in Greenland. And we have a lot to offer. We have a lot to cooperate with. So we are ready to the US can come here and have some investment in our minerals.
You know, President Trump, as you know, can be persuasive. Are you saying tonight that Greenland is not for sale?
Greenland and the future of Greenland will be decided by the Greenlandic people. And the Greenlandic people don't want to be Danes. The Greenlandic people don't want to be Americans. Greenlandic people want to be part of the Western Alliance as a Greenlandic people. And from that, we want and have the goal to have more cooperation with our strong partners as US is. You are our neighbor. Your security is our security. I have said that many times.
So interesting. There's another post that I'm going to share, but it's not a video. It's a Twitter post. Let's see where it went. Here. I don't know who Clandestine is, but it was just another take that I thought would be great to share with you guys. So it says Trump said today that he believes the U.S. will acquire Greenland and continues to offer Canada statehood. This happening during the negotiation with Russia is not random. Russia confirmed their talks with the U.S. were not just about the war in Ukraine, but also the relationship between the U.S. and Russia moving forward. Trump also said today that control of Greenland and Canada is necessary for national and international security. Trump seems to believe the Arctic region will be of extreme geopolitical interest in the coming years. The Arctic could be valuable not just for defensive military purpose, but in terms of managing maritime trade routes and potentially even upping direct trade with Russia after normalizing relations. I'm not 100% sure what Trump is up to or what his overall objective is with the Arctic, but it is all connected with the negotiations with Russia. This is also connected to Trump's desire to take back control of the Panama Canal. Trump is positioning for control of maritime trade routes and shuffling the global economic order. Whatever Trump is up to, it's big. So I'm not saying I believe this, and then it shows a map of Greenland, Russia. The US is kind of way back here. But it's an interesting take, and I wanted to share with you guys to see what you guys' thoughts are as well. And I don't know if that's what he's doing, but if he's making a move for Greenland, there's things to consider for Greenland. So they have what, 56,000 people there now? What did the other post say? Was it 56,000? Oh, I can't remember. But if he's making a move for that and they're going to do like a lot of mining, it's going to create a lot of jobs for the people who are there, but also it probably going to create a lot of opportunity for people to move there to 57,000. Thanks, David. To move there and work in these mining jobs. Like the same way, like when Fort McMurray in Alberta started booming, it created a lot of jobs. Thousands and thousands of people from all over Canada moved to Alberta. And that's still happening to this day. Like I'm from the East Coast, New Brunswick, and that's one of the reasons I moved to Alberta. I followed a boy back in 2007 was when I moved out west, and I first moved to Calgary. And yeah, he moved out west for the opportunity, the jobs, because the job market was so stifled in New Brunswick. So I could see something like that happening with Greenland, where the rate of people living there would skyrocket up for all the mining that be occurring. Because when they list all the things that are available for mining there, it's huge. Maria says the Hound Dog had a video explaining the tariff game. The end results was very interesting. If you can send it to me, I think you have me on Facebook, right? Or no? I'd like to watch it. I have another video I want to watch. Actually, I'll play it in between this subject and the other. I just have to go find it because I bookmarked it and I just realized I didn't talk about it. Now, this is another take. Who's this person? Let's just first see who they are. Conservative MP in Denmark says, we do not appreciate, and then I'll play the video. We do not appreciate Secretary Gen of NATO joking with Trump about Greenland like this. It would mean war between two NATO countries. Greenland has just voted against immediate independence from Denmark and does not want to be American ever. So this is an MP from Denmark. Did I write the title properly? Yeah. Okay. I got the right country. I was just thinking, did I do Denmark instead of another country in Europe? Okay. But it's funny. There's a community note proposed. I'll share it with you guys, even though it's not fully voted. I get access to them. It says misleading post. Greenland chose independence from Denmark with center-right Democrat tripling their seats. Nalarak doubling its seats. Both parties back independence, differing only on timing. Greenland already hosts American base. This alliance will only strengthen. Let's watch the video here.
What is your vision for the potential annexation of Greenland and getting the potential? Yeah. Well, I think it'll happen, and I'm just thinking, I didn't give it much thought before, but I'm sitting with a man that could be very instrumental. You know, Mark, we need that for international security, not just security, international. We have a lot of our favorite players, cruising around the coast, and we have to be careful. And we'll be talking to you. It's a very appropriate, really a very appropriate question.
There's an issue in the high north, so the Arctic. So what you did. So when it comes to Greenland, yes or not joining the US, I would leave that outside for me, this discussion, because I don't want to drag NATO in that. But when it comes to the high north and the Arctic, you are totally right. The Chinese are now using these routes. We know that the Russians are rearming. We know we have a lack of icebreakers. So the fact that the outside Russia, there are 7 Arctic countries working together on this under US leadership is very important to make sure that that region, that part of the world stays safe. And we know things are changing there, and we have to be there.
Interesting. Is that the same? I'm just going to see if it's the same.
I didn't give it much thought before.
Yeah, it's the same. I was going to play another one, but so it's interesting. He kind of sideswiped the question, not Trump, but the other guy. Trump's kind of bringing it up and saying this is a good question, but then the other guy kind of sideswipes it and just says, look, we need Greenland for national security. All our countries do. Now, Secretary Rubio said this post here, working with our G7 partner is key to solving the world's challenges. We must support a swift and durable end to the Russia-Ukraine war. I wanted to talk quickly just about that. I have another post about it here. It's a video, actually. So let's see. It's a Root. So this guy who's posting this is I stand with Ukraine. Love destroyed Russian tank. Love destroyed Russian tank. Managing director. Anyways, I don't know who he is, but this is his post here. But I'll play the video. He seems to not like this talk. So this guy is in charge of NATO. It's the same guy that we were just watching with Trump.
Secretary General of NATO, you ran a European country. Would you be willing to do business again with Russia after this? Because we are hearing reports of things like maybe gas deals come back into play.
Well, I mean, I'm not there because, first of all, you have to maintain the pressure on the Russians to make sure that they do whatever is necessary. That's why we have the sanctions, and let's not be naive about the Russians. But longer term, Russia is there. I mean, Russia will not go away. And I've had many dealings with President Putin till 2014. In my first 4 years as Prime Minister, we had many negotiations. And I think it is normal if the war would have stopped for Europe to somehow, step by step, and also for the US, step by step, to restore normal relations with the Russians. But we are absolutely not there yet. We have to maintain the pressure on them to make sure that they are willing to engage seriously in talks with the American administration and, of course, also with the Ukrainians.
So the pro-Ukraine flag guy doesn't like that there's peace talks about Ukraine, basically. I have another one here. I'm just trying to find it. And then I have a lot of things about Mark Carney. I don't even want to cover it. He's got me more distraught and disappointed in Canada than anything else. And then I've got a little bit of comedy for you guys too. Where did it go? I can't find it now. Let's do with a little bit of comedy. I don't know if you guys follow Katie Hopkins, but she shares a lot of really, really funny stuff once in a while. I really like watching her. She kind of gives you the download of what's happening everywhere, but in a really short, funny way. So I'll share this video with you guys.
Breaking news! Not quite in batshit bonkers Britain. It's kind of like being on an episode of The Hunted, but without the TV cameras. I figure if Keir Starmer's goon squad are after me, I may as well make it as hard as I can for them to find me. First up, we find out that Ofsted, the kind of inspector of schools in England, has got a new leader. It's an Islamic mufti, very lovely gentleman with a splendid beard called his own schools were going to be closed down by the Department of Education because they didn't meet standards. But never mind, he's heading up Ofsted now. No doubt boys will be sat at the front, girls will be last out for their lunch break, and girls won't be allowed to learn biology either. In other news, Trump's brilliant tariff wars that people are pretending not to understand. He said he was going to put 25% on steel and aluminum that comes out of the EU in retaliation. Ursula von der Leyen said she would put 50% on American whiskies, and now Trump said he's going to put 200% on EU wines, from France in particular, and champagne. Cards from the EU are like, oh, well, Americans will never be able to have champagne because you can only get champagne in France. Yeah, well, Americans can make sparkling wine, my darlings, and they have guns, so they probably win this one. Better sit down. And finally, the Amazon hosting a climate conference in November. In order for the 50,000 delegates who are arriving by private jet to get there more easily, they've just carved out a 4-lane motorway out of virgin and protected Amazonian rainforest. You couldn't make this shit up, could you? That's it. bonkers Britain.
I love that she's got like the beeps because then I know I can play her videos. I'm just looking. Yeah, she is funny. I like how she kind of does a comedic twist to all the things that are happening in the world. So I should set up so I get all the notifications from her posts. I'm just gonna do that right now. So I can maybe play it some more, but I really enjoyed her content when she came to the US when Trump was having his inauguration and she was walking like outside Washington and she was sharing kind of what she was experiencing and she got like really emotional even watching it. I was like crying too. It was really touching video, but let's talk Canadian politics now. I'm going to start with Scott Moe cuz I'm in Saskatchewan and I'll play this video too and I'm going to share my thoughts. First, I'll read this. Federal Minister Champagne says Canada will not remove EV tariffs that have resulted in Chinese canola tariff because we want to protect our industry, we want to protect our workers, we want to protect our community. So they're not going to remove it. And Scott Moe says, here's my response to that. What about Saskatchewan workers and Saskatchewan's community in the Saskatchewan canola industry? Team Canada can't just mean Team Quebec. I didn't realize he had said that. Scott Moe is growing some balls. Here, let's play the video. I watched the video and I actually really liked it, so I'll play with you.
Can you elaborate on what you said yesterday? You said in the next, if the Chinese tariffs go through in a week, that it would decimate the canola industry in Saskatchewan. Can you elaborate on that statement?
Yeah, it'll close crushing plants. I can't be more clear. And the people that will be working in those plants will not have a job for a period of time. More impactful than that. And I would really hope that anyone that is running for the Liberal Party of Canada or any party in the next election listens to these next words. More impactful than a temporary loss of jobs in the canola crush industry is the markets that we are losing. The markets that we are losing are going to be they were incredibly hard to build in the first place, and they're going to be incredibly hard to regain. And so I don't know that those jobs will immediately come back. This is the reason that I ask Prime Minister-designate Carney to reach out, make his first engagement with the government of China to find a way through these very, very disastrous counter tariffs that have been implemented that are going to have an impact on Western Canadian families.
Where was this like raw, strong Scott Moe? Oh, could you guys hear it? Oh, could you hear it? Or you just couldn't see it because I just realized now it wasn't playing. Were you able to see it, to hear it, not see it at least? Should I play it again? Nobody's. Yeah, you could hear it. Okay. Well, I'll just show you real quick what it was. There you go. Okay, you could hear it at least. But
to regain.
I'll just play.
And so I don't know that those jobs will immediately come back. This is the reason that I ask Prime Minister-designate Carney to reach out.
Like he's pissed. Like he's pissed right now. And he's like, why isn't he always like that? Like this, he should be like this all the time. He should be like off the cuff, passionate, fighting for Saskatchewan. Like this is the Scott Moe I wish we would see all the time. Not like these carefully curated videos, like with a script, like reading off of a screen. Like, anyways, I'm glad he posted this, and I think we need to see more of this kind of content in Saskatchewan. I'm also curious. Maria says, I agree, he's generally mousy. But this is the kind of stuff that Saskatchewan people need to see. This is the kind of stuff that we need to defend our province. We need that backbone. I love that he said Team Canada can't just mean Team Quebec too. Let's see what else he's posted, because he might be on a roll. And again, for some of you that says you don't trust Scott Moore, I don't trust him either. And I'm not always happy with what he does. Like, I was really pissed off last week when they announced they were taking US stuff off the shelf. Here's another one. No, that's the same one I just played. Yeah, I don't see another one. I just, I hope we start seeing more of that kind of stuff. Melina asked, he was a farmer at one time before he was a premier, wasn't he? I'm not sure if he was. Like, I know his wife owns a pharmacy. Roger, if you can't see the chat, it's because the comments that are happening here, sorry, I should show them. They're on all different platforms. So you're, I think, one of the only ones on X that is watching and commenting. Everyone else is commenting on Facebook and on YouTube, so you wouldn't be able to see it. Maybe there's a way I can kind of show, like I can show some of the comments here. I can show yours. Maybe I'll start showing the comments more. We have almost 400 people watching. Yeah, I'm curious as to see, like, if we're going to see more of that. Now let's talk about Mark Carney, or AKA Trudeau 2.0. This is a post by Melissa Lanceman. It doesn't feel different because it's 87% the same. The Trudeau cabinet equals the Carney cabinet. Let's see what her video says.
It also doesn't feel all that different. We saw so many familiar faces on the walk-in, so many ministers keeping their job in cabinet. Now, whether they keep the portfolio or not, that part remains to be seen. But in large part, these are faces that we are so familiar with. And it also doesn't feel all that different.
That's very true. This is another point. I'm going to share clips of mainstream media because anytime they speak truth, I want to highlight that, which is not whole often, or often it's like one-sided, like very targeted. But this was another one here that I want to share.
How has this changed when so many people are the same? Why are PEI and Alberta left out of the Team Canada cabinet? Why are there only 2 ministers west of Thunder Bay? There are 14 British Columbia MPs in the Liberal caucus. There is 1 cabinet minister. I know 4 of them aren't running, but you have Randeep Sarai, you have Terry Beach, you have Talib Noor Mohammed, organizers and fundraisers. So the regional priority and representation in this cabinet. How has this changed when so many people are the same? Why are PEI?
Yeah. Was there one Saskatchewan? I don't even think there was one from Saskatchewan. Okay, here's more.
But I should be wrought with emotion.
When was this posted? The 29th. So this is an older post. I won't show that one. This is another good post by Michael Barrett. He posts a lot of really good stuff. Mark Carney spent years attacking Canadian oil and gas while profiting from energy projects abroad. Now, with an election coming, he's pretending to support Canada. Don't be fooled. A Carney-Trudeau government means lost jobs, lost billions, and a weaker Canada. Carney to lead Canada after trying for years to defund it. The soon-to-be Prime Minister's plan for net zero banking would have devastated the country. I went through that yesterday. So if you guys saw that yesterday, we kind of went through a bunch of his, like, what he's always stood for. Let's see what else I got here. Now, someone asked Carney
what your plans are for the
what's the plan for the election. Let's play that video. it looks like we're not going to get an election when we wanted, which would be as soon as possible. So let's listen to what he has to say.
Can I ask you what your plans are for the next few weeks? Are you going to be bringing back the House? Are you going to be calling an early election? And if so, when should Canadians expect to go to the polls?
Well, they certainly should expect to go to the polls before November.
Why is that funny? Why are they all laughing? Like, that pisses me off.
The news today is behind me. An exceptional group of individuals who are serving Canada, united, focused cabinet, focused on action, focused on the issues for Canadians. We are, as I said a moment ago, we will be going to take some decisions which directly meet some of the objectives I set out in my remarks and we've been discussing. That's the news for today. There will be other news in the coming days with respect to ensuring that we have as strong a mandate that is needed for the time. Thank you.
Can I ask?
Like, he didn't answer. This is really, really strange. I don't know if you guys had seen that. But yeah, he laughs when they ask when's the next election. And then they ask other questions like, what's your mandate right away? What are you going to be doing? And he doesn't answer the question. He says the news for today is me choosing my new cabinet. I also want to point out that Mark Carney doesn't normally take questions from reporters. So at least that's like one up from what he usually does. But Roger Scott says it's the Liberal way. Melinda says, off Wikipedia, Mo was born in Prince Albert, the eldest of 5 children, and raised on a farm near Shelbrook. After high school, he briefly moved to Yellowknife before returning to Saskatchewan and attending university. He graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Agriculture. In the mid-90s, while still attending university, Mo and his wife established a farming business, buying equipment and renting land. Okay, interesting. Thanks for sharing that. And the thing is, like, he recognizes that the farming industry is the most influential industry, I think, in Saskatchewan. If we're realistic, that's what Saskatchewan is kind of known for, the breadbasket of the world. So, especially of Canada. So, it would be irresponsible for any premier of Saskatchewan to not take this as one of the biggest priorities right now for the province. So I'm glad he's taking it seriously. I'm glad he's talking about it. But so yeah, Melinda says she knows, she thinks Mo understands the farming issue. Yeah, and I mean, all his voter base are farmers. Like all of the big farming, like probably a lot of their donations, political donations, come from farmers too. Like all of his voter base, like all the MLAs that are Sask Party were won in rural communities. So he has a base that he needs to listen to and fight for. So Maria says he's extremely awkward in the public domain. Are we talking about Scott Moe here or or Mark Carney? I think Scott Moe. You know what's strange though? When I've like seen him speak to other people or speak at event, when he's just himself and not like scripted, he's actually like charismatic and like a likable person. I don't understand why he doesn't do that more. Cody says Scott Moe is as communist as country. He should be tried for his crimes against humanity. The takeover is happening right in front of us. Do you mean like during COVID, or do you mean with what's happening right now for the farming stuff? Or do you mean like buying up farmland? Because BDA Heather says, hopefully he won't allow Bill Gates to buy up our land. I think there's a lot of like big entities that are buying up land. Cody says, yes, he should have left with Kenny. Yeah, there's ways of doing that right now. There's ways of getting someone else as the leader of the SAS party. Problem is people aren't willing to show up to do it. Like in Saskatchewan is actually really easy. The same thing they did with Kenny could actually be done more easily in Saskatchewan. How you do that is you get a membership to the SAS party, you show up at their board elections that are all happening right now. They're happening this in the next few months, and you elect a board that are willing to fight for Saskatchewan. And once you have majority boards, you call an emergency AGM and you do a leadership review. And if you have the majority of the people there, then once you do the leadership review, if the vote says that they want Scott Moe to go, Scott Moe has to be stepped down. Like that could happen. Like if people were to show up. The problem is people aren't showing up. So I hear a lot of the time people are not happy with Scott Moe, but they have to actually do something about it. And they have to be willing to show up where it matters. And unfortunately, in Saskatchewan, we're seeing that people are just not there yet. Maybe they're not suffering enough. Maybe, and during COVID, it probably would have been different. I wish I had known this during COVID because we probably would have been able to rally enough people. But right now, people are just not, they're just not motivated. David says, why do we need, oh, okay, wait, I'm just going to read the comment before because it's related. David says, EB is trying to pass a bill right now in BC that is pretty much a carbon copy of the Emergency Act, giving him sweeping powers over us in BC. And it is to deal with the trade war. Why do we need suspension of our rights for tariffs? This is evil, COVID vibes. Yeah, that's the next comment he has. David says, I'm truly worried for us if Carney does not call an election immediately. I agree. I'm actually like very, very worried, and probably even more so after my show yesterday, because like I don't think I realized how entwined he is with all of the evil people in the world and how much influence now all those globalists have on Canada. Like when I titled this Carney hijacks Canada, that's literally what has happened. All these globalists control Carney. Like they talk about it openly. Like Carney wasn't just like a young leader of the World Economic Forum. Carney was on the board. All the stuff that they've been pushing, Carney is at the head pushing it down. Like he's in the management of deciding what gets pushed down. Roger Scott says, Saskatchewan, alone with every other province, needs to write their own constitution, as was talked about in the documentary Canada, Illusion by Canada, the Myth. You know what? I still haven't watched that. I'm going to prioritize that. I've had so many people send it to me and I still haven't watched it. Carney will not want to banter with Pierre in question period. Cody says the political system needs a complete revamping. It starts from the ground up in rural communities. There is no voting our way out of this. See, I hear this a lot. And while I agree with a concept that a politician's not the answer to the problems we have, I agree with that aspect. But when you know exactly how the structures are, you can see where it is the people can take the power back. And right now in Canada, there is a way for the people to take the power back. They just need to get engaged. And I'll share exactly what I just shared about those board election. Right now, if people were to show up at the board election, they would essentially be able to put policy forward at the AGM to determine in which direction the party's going to go, and then show up at the AGM to vote that policy in. You could completely change the whole trajectory of the SAS party if people were to show up in masses. And it doesn't take that many people. Like all it would take is like 2,000 people to be willing to show up. The problem is We don't have that. Canadians have become very complacent, and they're just not interested in getting involved. And maybe because they just don't know how the system works. I think that's the biggest reason. They just feel there's no hope, so what's the point, right? And they've become demoralized. But in the US, that's not how it is. In the US, like, most of the people have a membership either to the Democratic or the Republican Party. In the US, those board election or nomination elections are attended by a huge percentage of the population. Same with nomination election. For a candidate to be on the ballot for a general election, there's an election that occurs at the party level before. That election is usually won by about 1,000 votes. At the federal level, at the provincial level, usually it's 300-400 people show up. So if you've never voted at either one of them, I don't think you can say or be in a position to say that we can't fix this through our democratic processes. If you've showed up, if you told people about it and you spread awareness about it and people still aren't showing up, then yeah, maybe we can't fix it. But like when we were doing town halls across Saskatchewan and teaching people this in a room of like 120 people, when I asked people how many voted in a nomination election, about 1-2 people lifted their hands out of 120 people. Most people didn't even know what that was. Most people have never showed up at a board meeting for an MLA or an AGM for an MLA. Like, there are ways for the people to take it back, but for one, they need to be made aware of what the different system and structures are and where their voice can matter and their vote can count. They need to know about it. But when they don't know about it, then yeah, it's hard to imagine things can be possible because you just see the same people get elected over and over again. Why? Because they're the only people who know about it. So, like I said, with about 2,000 people spread out throughout Saskatchewan who are very dedicated to show up anytime it matters, you can influence complete change. Like in Saskatchewan last election, we were behind finding this out. I wish I had known this before, but we got involved in several nomination election. Every candidate we got involved with got elected to the party and was on the ballot. And most of those got elected in the last election. I wish we had known more about it because there was 20 seats, I think, that were opened up for new MLAs. We could have probably gotten 20 people elected to the SAS party if we had known. Well, maybe not 20 because I think a lot of them were rural, not rural, but city. Cody says it costs $130,000 to buy a seat. Money is power in that realm. No, actually, it's not money. It's the people willing to show up. Like if you have people willing to show up, you don't need all that money. If you have an influential person that can rally the troops, I say rally the troops, but rally people, you wouldn't need money. You would just need the people to be willing to door knock, to be willing to call, to be willing to make sure people have drives to go and vote. The people are way more valuable than any monetary fundraising. And I'll tell you how I figured this out. I was on a show, Sean Noble. I don't know if you know Sean Noble. He was one of the speakers that came. We did a training session for all the candidates running in the province in Regina last fall, just before the election. And Sean Noble was one of the speakers who came. And I was talking to him, and he said, I am so inspired by what you guys are doing and what you've accomplished. And I'm like, okay, like you guys are doing way more in the US. He said this has the same feel and vibes as the Reform Party. So I don't know if you know much about the US, but there was a group, Reform Party, that kind of came in and tried to change the Republican Party. But there was a ton of money backing it up. So, but he said, we had the money, but we didn't have the people. And he says, what you have is the people showing up without the money, which is rare, which doesn't happen. He says, what you have is more influence than anybody with lots of money. So while everything is corrupt and money does drive a lot, and I wish we had as an organization a lot more money because we'd be able to do a lot more, having people who are willing to show up is way more valuable. And politicians know that. And it's why Trump was as successful as he was. Trump was able to do something that most politicians can't. He would hold rallies and thousands and thousands and thousands of people would show up. And they would come and hear him speak. They would come to hear others speak. That doesn't usually happen in the political realm. Even in the US, when a politician was to hold like a town hall or an event, usually you'd be happy if you get 200-300 people show up. But Trump started a movement. And that was way more influential, way more effective than just a lot of money getting thrown at politicians. Albert says, I'm listening. You have my attention. David says, if you haven't already, hit the thumbs up button. Gets Nadine out to more people and it's free. Maria says, I know I've gotten complacent. I was way more vocal back when we got Brad Wall in. And look, if what I'm saying is bothering you and triggering you, it says more about your own internal conviction. Like I did a tweet yesterday and I'm going to talk about it because like this is what like bothers me. This is what like makes me sometimes not being able to fall asleep at night. This was the tweet. I don't know why it's saying promote. I don't want to promote. I want you to go away. There. It's not the presence of evil in this world that terrifies me. It's that there are so many good people who are not willing to do anything about it. So I did this post yesterday, and there was a bunch of conservatives like attacking. Like one of them said, oh, it's easy for you to say you can start a podcast because your husband's a doctor. So go easy on us. Not everyone has the same privilege you have or whatever, something like that. And first of all, that comment said way more about that person than it did about me. Yeah, I'm very thankful every day that God has provided the opportunity so I can do the work that he's calling me to do. There's a million other things I'd rather do. No offense to you guys. You guys are great. But there's a million other things I'd rather do. I'd rather live in a finished house with baseboards. I can't even show you guys. I don't even have baseboards in this room. I don't even have flooring in my entrance. It's orange plastic right now, and it's waiting for the stone flooring to go in. There's a million other things that I could be doing right now than running a conservative organization and running a show and doing it all for free. I'm not getting paid. So when I have like people like that, it bothers me to my core because they're willing to find all the excuses in the world to not do something. I'm not asking people to donate $100,000 to our organization. I'm not asking people to give up their job or their opportunity at a job. But when Jonathan and I stood for what we believed in, when we took that strong stand during COVID, the attacks came. They came after him. They came after his job. They try to get his license removed. They're probably still going to come. I had my name just splattered all over mainstream media, just completely defamatory statement, making all these insinuation and allegation against me. It ruined my chance at any future of being in politics. So yeah, there's been a lot of sacrifice, nonstop sacrifice every day. Now, if that post It's not the presence of evil in this world that terrifies me. Is that there are so many good people who are not willing to do anything about it. If that post triggers you, then you need, and that's what I said in the comment after I saw a bunch of people like triggered and attacking me. The post wasn't directed at anyone particular. In fact, it was quite general. I write in the comments in a thread. If it triggered you, then maybe look inside yourself and ask yourself why. Every single day, I think maybe I should be doing more. Every single day, I get to a point where sometimes I panic, like, oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. There's not enough people getting waken up. Maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to do that. Like, it consumes like a big part of my day and my thoughts because I know how serious this is and know what this means for the future of Canada. And I know what this means for the future of my kids. I get it. I feel it too. But it's posts like this that gets people to look internally and ask themselves, am I doing enough or am I just online complaining? And maybe I can do more. Maybe I should do more. Maybe that's some of you guys' opinion. I know it's some of my opinion sometimes. But again, part of leading an organization and doing a show like this is to get people to start doing something. I wrote this because I was having a conversation with my husband and we're talking how bad, what direction Canada is going, how leaders, politicians are not responding the way we think they should. Like we were like, and my husband said, Nadine, you're just now realizing that the world is not as good as you thought it was. You're just now realizing that what you believe was the good in people may not in fact have been the reality. When I've been like, my husband's been like blackpilled for a long time. He says the majority aren't good, just a few ones are. I don't want to fully give up, but he's saying that to me. And I'm like thinking about that. We're having like this deep discussion and I'm thinking about that. And I'm realizing, you know what? It's not like that politicians are corrupt. It's not that politicians do wrong decisions. It's not that bothers me. I said, it's how many are just so brainwashed. Like during COVID, I thought, okay, they'll recognize it now. How many are so brainwashed? They're just now going along with the next thing. Please take away all my freedom so that I can be safe and protected and taken care of. That mentality. I said, it's the fact that right now we have elections happening and places where people could participate into the democratic process to stop this evilness, to hold our elected officials accountable, and people aren't willing to show up. We're like telling people about these meetings. We're telling these people, hey, this election is happening. You should show up. We're telling, and they're not even willing to respond. The fact that so many people are not willing to show up to stop this, that bothers me more. And that's what, and not just that, we could potentially hire people to do a lot of the work and do a lot of the communications and stuff. But we don't have funding for our organization. We barely getting by. And we did a bunch of fundraising email and say, hey, these are the successes we've had. This is what we'd like to do. We'd like to train more people on how to campaign, train more people on how to do activism in Canada that's effective, train them how to be more like Turning Point USA or some of these other things. And we wanted to hold an event for that. And we said, but we need the funds to be able to hold the event. And we sent out an email and we didn't get a single cent. So that bothers me. That bothers me that there's a way out of this and people are just not willing to do it. It's not that there isn't. There is. I can see it. I can see exactly how it happens. So yeah, if that triggered you, it's not coming from a place of, oh, I know better, or or I'm on a pedestal, or I'm so much better than you. If that's what you got out of that tweet, then you obviously have no idea who I am or what I'm about. And it says more about your own insecurity and jealousy issue. So, but yeah, stop complaining if you're not willing to do something about it. And if you don't know what that is, ask me. I'll tell you a million different things you can do. You can show up, whatever province it is. Okay, let's see some comments here. Susan Grant says we need to force the parliament down. And look, I'm not telling you guys this to get you guys, like, I'm not a victim here. That's not why I'm telling you this. I'm telling you this so that to ignite people to want to do something, like to motivate people. Instead of saying enough's enough, do something about it. Like, that's why I'm sharing this story. That's why I did that tweet. Paul said, hello, I watched a podcast on an election in Greenland. They have 4 parties there and get approximately 500 million a year from Denmark for all support to run country. They voted and majority want independence. Interesting. Yeah, so I talked about that earlier in the show, but I didn't have those data. Maria said, I think the emergency act and watching so many get silenced, charged, and stripped of their livelihood wipe the fight out of many of us. I agree. David says, I thought Canadians would stand up and say no to government during COVID. I did. And I thought that that would be the consensus. So sad when they didn't. But like, even now, after all of it, like, I'm sure, like, deep down, people, when they remember what happened, like, they know what happened was wrong. Like, they have to. Like, that's why, like, when they're trying to mosey back to their families, they completely shun. They're, like, not even wanting to talk about it because they know they did wrong. They want to pretend it didn't happen because they know it was wrong. If they didn't know it was wrong, they wouldn't try to pretend it didn't happen. I know that's the case. Unfortunately, they're not recognizing the pattern again. And that's really sad. Okay. That was a big rant. Let's see what else I've got here. I have a few more videos. Yeah, this one. Former Liberal Party President Stephen Ledoux critiques on Carney's win. If he is elected in the general election, we will have another government. We will have another government like we had for the last 10 years. Let's watch this.
I am a liberal. The Liberal Party, as is formed right now, is more the Justin Party. The executive is not what it used to be. The rules are not what they used to be. Everything has to change. I'm in total agreement with that. The president of the party is paid for by a cabinet minister. And you look at the cabinet. Look at cabinet. We are going through a huge change in this country. As we used to have government, parliamentary government by cabinet. There were cabinet ministers who were solid and competent, and they knew their business. There's nobody in this cabinet, of Trudeau's cabinet, who knows their business or knew their business. 1 or 2 were okay, but not like with Harper's cabinet or Mulroney's cabinet or Crenshaws cabinet. We have had a one-man band in Ottawa for the last number of years, and well, let me correct that. A one-man band as far as the public is concerned, and there's a few people who run the government. You know them as well as I do. Katie Telford, Gerald Butts. And now that expanded in the last few years to include Mr. Carney and Mr. Carney's wife, who is, by all accounts, a very smart woman. And she works for Eurasia in New York City, which is a company that Mr. Butts runs. And they receive big, lucrative contracts from the Canadian government. So instead of having a broad-based party run by a 52-person executive with riding associations across the country. And quite frankly, sometimes those were riding associations and all those thousands of Liberals, card-carrying paid members of the party, were a pain in the butt to the government. And that's what they're supposed to be. That doesn't happen anymore. Ottawa running the show. They want to continue running the show, and they engineered the voting so that, I mean, look, you and I have seen, your audience has seen more people voting for a college student president council than voted for the Prime Minister of Canada this past weekend. This was a very, very in-house shop. They've got their guy, and if he is, if he's elected in a general election, we will have another government like we've had for the last 10 years, run by the same people. They have their views. They have their ways of dealing with it. I don't know if you want to go into all the policy things, Ezra, but I mean, they want to run Canada the same way they run Canada for the last 10 years.
It's the same people. You're so right.
It's true. I went and got more tea. So if the screen went, if I disappeared from the screen, that's why. It's the same people. It's going to be no different. 87% of his cabinet. Now, talk about something else. Let's watch this video about what he's going to do with CBC.
It's a question. I'm complimenting the journalists from Radio Canada, and I would like to compliment the very existence of Radio Canada, and I'd like to reinforce that my government would be reinforcing. It goes back to Canadian identity, culture. This is away from the news, but the broader sense. So I'll finish the answer. I compliment the question. She's recognizing that I grew up in Alberta. I launched my campaign in Alberta. I'm just reinforcing today. Today, the story is behind me, and there will be more news because those behind me will be taking some important decisions this afternoon.
He didn't launch his campaign in Alberta. He launched it in the US. David says this title for Frank's video today, Frank Vaughan, dire warning, the coming authoritarianism for Canada will make 2021 look like a walk in the park. Yeah, I'd have to agree with Frank. Oh, Rowan, you're giving nice words about my husband. Albert works with Jonathan. I'll say on this platform, your husband is one of the best humans I've had the privilege to know. He has a spine, so do you. Keep going. Maria says, when numerous homeless camps are showing up in every city, your government has failed. David says, so awkward, low energy, Carney. You know what I noticed a little bit, although I don't know how much of that was like fully accurate back then, or if it was just like what mainstream media was telling me to believe, but I almost remember how Harper didn't really have like a whole lot of personality? Mark Carney is a bit the same, although I think I like Harper's policy, not all of them, but most of them a lot more than Mark Carney. Mark Carney's policy are going to destroy this country. Here's a video. When was this released? March 10th. I think this was before Mark Carney answered. But I'm going to play this video too.
We have a parliament, and the root of that is to speak, of course. And I think that it is a very critical component of our democracy, unlike others perhaps around the world, where we take the opportunity to bring good policy forward, to be highly critical of that policy, to ask questions, rely on the media to ask the right questions, and parliamentarians ask the right questions, and ideally get to a place where that policy, when implemented, reflects the broadest interests of Canadians and benefits all of Canada. And so I think at this moment, I think all politicians are very aware of the fact that they need to be speaking a united voice. However, it is incumbent upon them to call out their political adversaries when they are either wrong or when further questions need to be asked or they aren't providing transparency. And I certainly think that that is what Mr. Poilievre has done. And I would expect all leaders, especially as we stare down the barrel of an upcoming federal election, to ask difficult questions of the leaders of each party and ensure that Canadians are getting the most clear and insightful expression of what their policies and plans are for the country. That's how we work in Canada, and that's how we will continue to work.
Interesting. I agree. So I wonder, I'm just reading what the post said. Here, I'll share it. That was the post for the video. Mr. Poilievre has put forward his Canada First vision with Mr. Carney. I fear it's just repackaged, tired Trudeau policy. So this must have been the guy that was talking, was it? Maybe? I'm going to follow him. If you guys follow me on Twitter too, let me know what your thing is. So I'll make sure I can follow you again. I was thinking about doing something. I was thinking about, here, I'll switch over. I was thinking about starting like a group chat for like all of the regulars. So we can all talk to each other and you guys can share things you want me to bring on the show. I thought that would be really fun. I don't think YouTube gives that option, but I do know Twitter does, like a community, like a little community. What did you guys call it? You have a name for it. I just can't remember. Paul, it won't let me share like a link. So I can't even click on that link that you're putting, not on StreamYard. I probably could if I logged into Facebook, but I don't know. I want to talk about this because this is huge. And this is why I titled this episode Hijacked. I just realized I'm kind of, when I went to get tea, I moved backwards from the desk and the mic. This is why I called it Hijacked. Something sketchy really, really happened. So, and this is what with the leadership election with Mark Carney. The Liberal Party disqualified 250,000 out of 400 registered Liberals on the eve of the leadership election. Why, how, and by whom? It is foreign meddling to be fixing the race for Carney. Or she's asking, is it foreign meddling to be, or fixing the race for Carney? All Canadians deserve to know. Audit Carney now. Like, it wasn't just a little bit. They disqualified more than there was that voted. Kelly says, I would love to see an off-grid specialist on your show. That's a really good idea. I know a few. I do have a guest coming on my show next week. I have two, actually. One of them, oh, did my phone die? My phone died? Oh. Here, maybe I should plug it. The food professor's coming next week, I think on the 12th. And Cameron Davis. We're trying to see maybe on Monday. I think the 12th is that Wednesday. So we rescheduled. Yeah, the 19th. I think Wednesday is when the food professor is coming. And then Cameron Davis is coming on Monday, I think. I'm just going to confirm with him. So Cameron is one of the people who's heading up the party, the Republican Party of Alberta. So I was talking to him yesterday, And he's like, when are you going to have me on your show? So Cameron's really interesting because I met him apparently a long time ago at an event somewhere. He said he knew me already. But when I was at CPAC in Washington, the first day when I went to get my badge, like they hadn't started yet, it was the day before. Cameron comes up to me. He's like, hey, Nadine. And I'm like looking at him, like, don't recognize him whatsoever. He's like, oh, it's Cameron. I'm like, have we met? I said, your name sounds familiar, but I don't think we've ever met because I don't remember ever seeing him. He didn't look at all familiar. And usually I'm pretty good with remembering faces, but I didn't remember him at all. And he's like, oh, yeah, we've met. We chatted before. I'm like, we have? He's like, yeah, AmFest. I'm like, even more confused. I'm like, we have? I remember like meeting a couple other Canadians at AmFest, but they weren't from Alberta. So I still have zero recollection of meeting him and talking to him at AmFest. And I don't drink, so it wasn't because I was drinking or any under the influence of anything. But anyway, so we were at CPAC and we kind of ended up at a lot of the same places, same party. So we got to know each other quite a bit more. And he was telling me about the Republican Party of Alberta and that he was like organizing that. And then he was having to do some stuff with Scott Presler, the Resistance. So he was helping. If you don't know Scott Presler, he's a guy in the US that basically helped Trump win Pennsylvania. And he's really good at rallying boots on the ground, getting people to register to vote. We need a Scott in Canada. But yeah, so I was talking to him and he is planning on coming on my show on Monday. So we haven't fully finalized it. So and he's going to talk about the Republican Party of Alberta. And this is not an endorsement. I'm just really curious as to what they're doing and what they're up to. And to kind of see, because there's like, from what my understanding, there's several groups that are pushing like the Alberta as a 51st state. Some are just pushing for independence, not any link to the US. I think my idea has changed a little bit in a sense. I don't know if joining the US as the 51st state, like as in all of Canada, would be good. I don't even know if doing that, just seeing the sentiment of Canadians, I don't think it's there. Is it there with Alberta? I think it is. And I think it could be even more in the next few years. Same with Saskatchewan. But what I really like is this idea of a complete team up with the US, like where there's no trade barriers whatsoever. It'd be kind of open as if like there's a border there, but the trade just goes back and forth way more, where it would kind of maybe like a dual monetary where our dollar is the same as the US. That might be beneficial. I don't know. But I'm not like 100% decided on where I am. My husband's like full blown like Alberta, Saskatchewan become the 51st state. Like he's full blown separatist. But like I said, he's way more black pilled than me. I didn't even know what that term was until you guys shared it yesterday. So he's black pilled. Someone said white pilled, but I don't know like what the actual term of that is. Still having hope. White pill might be like having hope in Jesus Christ. I might be that. I think I'm more that. So what else do I got here? Let's see. Oh, these are words from Rosie Barton. So even Rosie has something to say about Carney's new cabinet.
But I will say, David, if you're looking at this today, you're not going to see, like so far, we don't have any new faces. So that speaks to the way the Conservatives are going to frame this, I think, a little bit. These are all ministers who were in Justin Trudeau's cabinet now in Mark Carney's cabinet.
Certainly in the senior roles. I mean, Bill Blair is in the same job. Patty Hajdu is in the same job. Jonathan Wilkinson, we believe, is next. I think either he stays. Well, it's out. We know he's stay. Yes, he is staying in his job as Minister of Energy and Natural Resources. So there is continuity in a lot of these key things. The changes are more kind of on the margins, or at least in the swapping of roles.
But I will say, David, if you're looking at this today,
oops, restarted. Well, I think I got everything. This is a funny meme. I'll share this. By Contrarian. I don't know who that is. Today is a dark day for Canada when the very same people we worked hard to get rid of are all back in under the unelected Prime Minister. Case in point, Freeland knew nothing about finance but was made the finance minister, and now she's the transport minister. Entire cabinet is poop emoji. Mark Carney gives you more. Mark Carney gives you more poverty, more debt, more crime, more communism. Don't feed the sheep. It's a good tweet. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Patty is a graphic artist, really? And what's she being put in charge of again? The Minister of Indigenous Services. Wendy says, you're right. Canada joins the US doesn't seem feasible with all the elbows up stuff. But something has to change for the West. We have been treated horribly for many years. I personally like separatism from Canada or joining the US. What if it's like separatism and forming its own entity that's not being manipulated or overtaken or ruled by Ottawa, but yet there would be a really good agreement with the US so we could get our products to market. I think that might be like the best possible situation for Alberta and Saskatchewan, not for the rest of Canada. They're not going to want to let go of Alberta because like I foresee like all out war if that was to happen, only for the simple fact that Alberta feeds so much of the rest of the world with like equalization not the world, but the rest of Canada with equalization payments and stuff. But anyways, it's Friday, which is an exciting day. Almost every Friday, my husband and I, we play this song. I'm gonna play it with you guys. I'll text him this song, and I'm gonna play it for you guys. I'm gonna make you suffer through it. Oh, how do I get to it here? YouTube. Do you guys know which song I'm talking about? I think it's called It's Friday. Oh yeah, there you go. Let's get this going for you guys.
Up in the morning, gotta be fresh, gotta go downstairs, gotta have my bowl, gotta have cereal, seeing everything, the time is going, ticking on and on, everybody's rushing, gotta get down to the bus stop, gotta catch my bus, I see my friends kicking.
Let's wait till it gets to the chorus, at least the chorus.
Gotta make my mind up, which seat can I take? It's Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend. Friday, getting down on Friday.
I wonder I wonder where she's at now. What was her name? Rebecca Black. Let's ask Grok what happened to Rebecca Black. That's the kind of humor my husband and I have. It's like really cringy. That's what my daughter calls it. You're so cringe, Mom. Okay, so Rebecca Black is alive and well. Nothing tragic has happened. She has been actively pursuing her music career and evolving as an artist since her viral hit Friday in 2011. Here's a brief rundown of what she's been up to. Oh, she's made a significant comeback in the music industry. In February 2025, she released her second studio album, Salvation, which has been noted for its dance floor ready track. Let's have a look. Let's have some fun. Let's see. Am I writing that properly? Oh, she's got 1.53 million subscribers. Okay, let's watch it. I'm curious as to if it's good or not. Okay. Why isn't it playing? It's not playing. It doesn't want to play. Okay, maybe I just need to click on this. Oh, here it is. Why isn't it playing? It won't play. Maybe it's because I'm Canadian. Well, this is one of her videos. Okay. Oh, maybe. Maybe that's why it won't play? I didn't even think about that. Maria says, yeah, sorry, I'm not telling you guys what the comment says. It says, did you get copyright strikes? I didn't even think about that. Maybe it'll stop playing on Facebook. Maria says, hey, did you guys see they cut a 4-lane highway through the Amazon rainforest for the COP convention in Brazil? I saw Katie Hopkins talked about it in her short video. It will affect wildlife too. Maria says, good grief, they're evil. Okay, I'm going to let you guys go because it's Friday. And I'm going to patiently wait for my husband to get home. Actually, one of the things I want to do is get all the laptop connected. I still hadn't done that. So maybe we won't have as many issues. Maria says the locals are pissed for the cutting the 4 lanes. That's insane to me. Just for a convention. Oh, the evils of the world. What's the convention for? Do you guys know? And then I'll get going. I'll wait for hubby to get home. We're going to Eston, Saskatchewan tomorrow. Jonathan's got family there and there's like a big birthday party. So I'm really excited for that. So if you're in the Eston, Saskatchewan area, we'll be there. It's for climate. Are you kidding me? It's a climate change conference. They literally destroyed the environment that fights climate change, aka trees and rainforests, to do a conference on how to fight climate change. the hypocrisy is right. Anyways, I'll let you guys go. I will be back on Monday, maybe with Cameron Davis, probably with Cameron Davis. And then I will see you guys next week. Have a good weekend.